Hi everybody, it's me, Miss Norris, and today I'm going to read you a story called Dr. DeSoto, written by William Steig in 1982, and this is a story about giving everybody a chance, but also making sure to be very careful when you do so. This is Dr. DeSoto. Notice that what kind of doctor is Dr. DeSoto? If you don't know yet, you'll know soon. And look, he's a mouse. Dr. DeSoto by William Steig. Dr. DeSoto, the dentist, did very good work, so he had no end of patients. Those close to his own size, moles, chipmunks, etc., sat in the regular dentist's chair. Larger animals sat on the floor, while Dr. DeSoto stood on a ladder. I'm going to get up close so you can see those things. So if they were tiny animals, they were able to go in the chair up here. And if they were a little bit bigger, they would sit on the floor, and Dr. DeSoto would climb the ladder and look in their mouth. I guess even animals need to have their teeth looked at. For extra large animals, he had a special room. There, Dr. DeSoto was hoisted up to the patient's mouth by his assistant, who also happened to be his wife, Mrs. DeSoto. I'm going to get up close so you can see that too. So you can see there's Mrs. DeSoto over here holding the ropes, and there's Dr. DeSoto getting hoisted up so that he can look in this mule's mouth. They're a good team, aren't they? Dr. DeSoto was especially popular with the big animals. He was able to work inside their mouths, wearing rubber boots to keep his feet dry, and his fingers were so delicate, and his drills so dainty, they could hardly feel any pain. That's the kind of dentist I want to see. Being a mouse, he refused to treat animals dangerous to mice, and it said so on his sign. His sign says, Dr. DeSoto, dentist. Cats and other dangerous animals not accepted for treatment. When the doorbell rang, he and his wife would look out of the window. They wouldn't admit even the most timid-looking cat. So I'm going to get up close so you can see the DeSotos look out the window and see if the creature ringing their doorbell is safe or not. It's pretty smart. One day, when they looked out, they saw a well-dressed fox with a flannel bandage around his jaw. You see him here? I cannot treat you, sir, Dr. DeSoto shouted. Sir, haven't you read my sign? So he's saying to this fox, even though he sees he's in pain, I can't treat you. You need to read my sign. You're dangerous to me. Please, the fox wailed. Have mercy. I'm suffering. And he wept so bitterly. And it was a pitiful sight to see. Just a moment, said Dr. DeSoto. Oh, that poor fox, he whispered to his wife. What shall we do? Let's risk it, said Mrs. DeSoto, and she pressed the buzzer. and let the fox in. Dun, dun, dun! So if you've ever been in my class, you know that if I point two fingers at you like this during a read aloud, that you are to say, dun, dun, dun! Let me try it again. Ready? Excellent job. He was up the stairs in a flash. "Bless your little hearts," he cried, falling to his knees. "I beg you, do something. My tooth is killing me." "Sit on the floor, sir," said Dr. Soto, "and remove the bandage, please." So Dr. Soto has to stay pretty tough because he doesn't want that fox to eat him. You think the fox is going to eat him? I don't know. Dr. Soto climbed up the ladder and bravely entered the fox's mouth. "Oh!" he gasped. The fox had a rotten bicuspid and unusually bad breath. This tooth will have to come out," Dr. Soto announced. "But we can make you a new one." "Oh, just stop the pain," whimpered the fox, wiping some tears away. Despite his misery, he realized he had a tasty little morsel in his mouth, and his jaw began to quiver. "Keep open!" yelled Dr. Soto. "Wide open!" yelled his wife. So he's thinking about it. He's trying to behave. Dr. Soto says, "Keep it open!" And Mrs. Soto said, "Wide open!" You don't even want to get a little taste of her husband. "I'm giving you gas now," said Dr. Soto. "You won't feel a thing when I yank that tooth." Soon the fox was in dreamland. "Yummy," he mumbled. "How I love them raw, with just a pinch of salt and a dry white wine." They could guess what he was dreaming about. Mrs. Soto handed her husband a pole to keep the fox's mouth open. So you hear he's talking about how he likes to eat mice, just raw, just a pinch of salt. So they know that he's dreaming of eating them. So they put that stick in his mouth. So if he tries to, it can't close. It's pretty smart. That's why Dr. Soto's a doctor. Ooh, I'll show you this picture up close too because it's pretty cool. Dr. Soto fastened his extractor to the bad tooth. Then he and his wife began turning the winch. Finally, with a sucking sound, the tooth popped out and hung swaying in the air. I have to show you that one before I even move on. See that tooth? It's just swaying in the air because the DeSotos had to use a winch to yank it out. It's pretty brutal. Aren't you glad you don't have to go to that kind of dentist? "Oh, I'm bleeding," the fox yelped when he came to. Dr. Soto ran up the ladder and stuffed some gauze in the hole. The worst is over, he said. I'll have your new tooth ready tomorrow. Be here at 11 sharp. The fox, still woozy, said goodbye and left. On his way home, he wondered if it would be shabby of him to eat the DeSotos when the job was done. Could you imagine if you did something very nice for someone and they ate you? Oh, I would be so angry, but also probably wouldn't know how angry I was. Excuse me. After office hours, Mrs. DeSoto molded a tooth of pure gold and polished it. Raw with salt indeed, muttered Dr. DeSoto. How foolish to trust a fox. Psh. He didn't know what he was saying, said Mrs. DeSoto. Why should he harm us? We're helping him. Because he's a fox, said Dr. DeSoto. They're wicked, wicked creatures. That night, the DeSotos lay awake worrying. Should we let him in tomorrow? Mrs. DeSoto wondered. Once I start a job, said the dentist firmly, I finish it. My father was the same way. But we must do something to protect ourselves, said his wife. They talked and talked until they formed a plan. I think it'll work, said Dr. DeSoto. A minute later, he was snoring. Must be a good plan if he can now get some rest. So you can see there's Mrs. DeSoto making his tooth. And there they are laying in bed worrying about whether they should finish this job or not. They have a plan. Oh. The next morning, promptly at 11, a very cheerful fox turned up. He was feeling not a particle of pain. Let's show you up close. How do you do, DeSotos? How do you do? He didn't really say that, but I imagine he did. When Dr. DeSoto got into his mouth, he snapped it shut, just for a moment, then opened it wide and laughed. Ha ha ha! Just a joke, he chortled. Be serious, said the dentist sharply. We have work to do. His wife was lugging the heavy tooth up the ladder. So you see that the fox was trying to play a joke. As soon as he went into his mouth, he shut it just for a second and then let him back out and laughed. I don't know about this guy. Oh, I love it, exclaimed the fox. It's just beautiful. Dr. DeSoto set the gold tooth in its socket and hooked it up to the teeth on both sides. The fox caressed the new tooth with his tongue. My, it feels good, he thought. Oh, I really shouldn't eat them. On the other hand, how could I resist? Oh, we're not finished, said Dr. DeSoto, holding up a large jug. I have here a remarkable preparation developed only recently by my wife and me. With just one application, you can be rid of toothaches forever. How would you like to be the first one to receive this very unique treatment? So I'm going to show you up close. He has this jug of something that will make it so he doesn't get toothaches anymore. You think that's what it is? We shall find out. Whoa, I certainly would, the fox declared. I'd be honored. He hated any kind of personal pain. You'll never have to see us again, said Dr. DeSoto. No one will ever have to see you again, said the fox to himself. He had definitely made up his mind to eat them with the help of his brand new tooth. So I'm going to show you. Look, it's like he's got a little napkin tied on. He's ready to chow down. And the DeSotos have been so sweet. Dr. DeSoto stepped into the fox's mouth with a bucket of secret formula and proceeded to paint each and every tooth. He hummed as he worked. Mrs. DeSoto stood by on the ladder, pointing out spots he had missed. The fox looked very happy. So Dr. DeSoto is painting stuff on the fox's teeth that will make it so he doesn't get toothaches anymore. The fox has already made up his mind he's going to eat the DeSotos and is very happy to be getting this toothache treatment. When the dentist was done, he stepped out. Now close your jaws tight, he said, and keep them closed for 1 full minute. The fox did as he was told. Then he tried to open his mouth, but his teeth were stuck together. Oh, excuse me, I should have mentioned, said Dr. DeSoto. You won't be able to open your mouth for a day or two. The secret formula must first permeate the dentine. But don't worry, no pain ever again. Do you think the fox still looks happy? I can see that Dr. DeSoto looks very pleased. The fox was stunned. He stared at Dr. DeSoto, then at his wife. They smiled and waited, and all he could do was say, "Thank you very much," through his clenched teeth, and get up and leave. He tried to do so with dignity. That means with his head held up high, like he hadn't been tricked. And notice he had to say, "Thank you very much," because his teeth are glued together, so he can't say all of his letters right. Thank you very much. Try it. Try trying to say your name without moving your teeth apart. It's harder than it seems. down the stairs in a daze. Dr. DeSoto and his assistant had outfoxed the fox. They kissed each other and took the rest of the day off. The end. I hope you really enjoyed this story, Dr. DeSoto. It's one of my favorites. I like it when the little guy comes out on top and when people make really smart choices. If you liked this video, please hit that thumbs up button at the bottom of the page. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel to get notifications for other cool videos that are coming up in the future. Thanks. Bye.